Millionaire Heiress pretends to be paralyzed to test her husband, but beginning, the heiress and her doubts. The floating towers of New Avalon City gleamed under a synthetic dawn. The skyline was alive with shuttlecraft threading between glass spires suspended on anti-gravity anchors. It was the year 2149, and humanity had grown used to living among the clouds, above the storms of a battered Earth. Inside the penthouse of the Valentine Corporation, heiress Celestine Valentine sat in her private chamber, staring at her reflection in a hollow mirror. The mirror's algorithms softened her face, projecting her as radiant and flawless, but she saw the truth beneath, the worry, the mistrust. Celestine was one of the wealthiest women alive, the only daughter of Orion Valentine, who had built Valentine Corporation into an interplanetary empire dealing in terraforming technologies. But her life of luxury carried one bitter thread: doubt. She had married Draven Kane, a charming, ambitious man from the lower colonies. He had swept her off her feet with his intelligence and bold defiance of her sheltered world. But as the months passed, Celestine felt a gnawing question: did Draven love her, or did he love the fortune and influence that came with her name? That question haunted her until she conceived a dangerous test. Using nanomedical tech, experimental machines that could simulate neural shutdown, she would pretend to be paralyzed from the neck down after a supposed shuttle accident. She wanted to see how Draven would react when her beauty, power, and mobility were stripped away. Her closest confidant, an AI named Lyra, warned her. Celestine, deception at this scale may fracture what you hope to preserve. But Celestine only whispered. Better fractured truth than a beautiful lie. Middle, the husband's mask. The accident was staged with precision. A shuttle malfunction, a publicized rescue, and medical reports leaked to the media, all fabricated by Valentine Corp's influence. Soon, the story spread across New Avalon, the Valentine heiress, paralyzed in a tragic incident. Celestine was moved into a private med-suite, where robotic assistants cared for her body. Draven was informed that his wife might never walk again. At first, Draven was attentive. He sat by her bedside, held her hand, whispered promises of devotion. But Celestine, immobile, her body locked by the nanomachines, watched carefully through her augmented lenses, recording every nuance. Days turned into weeks. Draven's tenderness began to fray. He arrived later each day, sometimes not at all. When he did, his words grew impatient. You'll adapt, Celeste. The corporation will still honor you, and I'll manage things for you. Celestine's heart clenched at the shift in his tone. He spoke more about inheritance councils, shares of the company, and merging assets. The warmth in his voice had cooled into calculation. But then, the true betrayal revealed itself. One night, thinking her asleep, Draven whispered into his comlink. She's finished, but her fortune isn't. Prepare the transfer routes. Soon, the board will see reason and place me as primary executor. Celestine felt the chill of betrayal sink into her bones. He wasn't merely impatient, he was waiting for her to die. Lyra's voice whispered in her mind. You see the truth now. He is not a partner, he is a predator. Celestine's eyes, the only part of her body free to move, burned with silent fury. But she wasn't ready to end the act. Not yet. She wanted to know just how far Draven would go. The deeper conspiracy. As weeks passed, Draven's mask slipped further. He began bringing strangers to the penthouse, figures in dark suits with the emblem of the Helix Syndicate, a shadowy corporate rival known for hostile takeovers. Through whispered conversations, Celestine learned a horrifying truth. Draven wasn't merely betraying her emotionally. He was conspiring to sell Valentine Corp's terraforming patents to Helix. That technology could alter entire planets, and in the wrong hands, it could turn thriving colonies into wastelands or fortresses of control. Her accident had given Draven the perfect opportunity. With Celestine incapacitated, he could claim executive control. But he had underestimated one thing. Celestine was not helpless. Her paralysis was a facade, and her mind was sharper than ever. She began to weave her counterplan. The revelation. On the eve of Draven's final betrayal, when he was to sign the transfer documents to Helix, Celestine enacted her trap. She had Lyra broadcast a private summons to the Valentine Corporation board, inviting them to the penthouse under the guise of an emergency shareholders' session. At the same time, she remotely triggered the nanomedical machines inside her body, preparing to end the paralysis at the precise moment. Draven entered her chamber in a sleek black suit, a smile like a blade on his face. "Celeste, my love, you won't understand this, but it's for the best. You'll be cared for, always. And the corporation will thrive under my guidance." He kissed her forehead, a hollow, possessive gesture, and turned to leave. But Celestine's voice rang out, clear and strong, shocking him into stillness. "Is that what you tell yourself, Draven? That betrayal is love?" He froze. His head snapped back toward her. She was sitting up, her eyes blazing, her once paralyzed hands flexing with deliberate precision. His voice cracked. "You were paralyzed. The accident." "There was no accident," Celestine spat. "Only a test. And you failed." The chamber doors hissed open as the board members filed in, followed by armed security. Holoscreens lit up around the room, projecting recordings of Draven's secret meetings with the Helix Syndicate, all captured by Celestine's surveillance systems. Gasps filled the air. The betrayal was undeniable. Draven stumbled backward, his charm disintegrating into desperation. "Celeste, wait, you don't understand. I did this for us, for our future." "No," she said coldly, standing to her full height. "You did this for yourself. You would have sold out not only me but every colony relying on Valentine terraforming." Security seized him as he struggled, his eyes wide with disbelief. Ending, the Heiress reborn. The Helix plot collapsed overnight. With Draven exposed and imprisoned, Valentine Corporation reinforced its independence, strengthening ties with the colonies he had endangered. But for Celestine, the victory was bittersweet. She had proven her husband's disloyalty, but in doing so, she had torn away the last illusion of love she had once cherished. In the weeks that followed, she devoted herself not to mourning but to renewal. She upgraded Lyra from an AI assistant into a full partner in decision-making, vowing never again to place blind trust in another's words. She launched initiatives to make Valentine Corp more transparent, less vulnerable to corruption. And though her heart bore scars, she found a strange liberation in the truth. One evening, gazing out at the floating towers of New Avalon, Lyra asked gently, "Do you regret it?" Pretending, testing him, revealing the truth in such a brutal way. Celestine smiled faintly, her reflection sharp in the glass. Regret? No. If love cannot endure the truth, then it was never love at all. She turned from the window, her silhouette strong against the glow of the city. The heiress who once doubted everything now carried a new certainty: she would never again be anyone's pawn, nor anyone's test. Because she had already passed the hardest test of all, choosing truth over illusion.